Wish you all a relaxing time. In front of the school gate, I had just tossed the cold bun into the trash can and was about to leave, when suddenly, strange words appeared before my eyes. Oh my God, the male lead actually picked a bun out of the trash to eat? My poor baby, someone help him! But except for the female lead, no one will. Too bad the female lead won't show up for another 2.5 years. Startled, I turned back and, sure enough, I saw a skinny, pale boy pulling the cold bun I had just thrown away, out of the trash. He froze when he noticed me. Sorry, I thought you didn't want it anymore. I walked straight over, snatched the bun from his hand, and tossed it back into the trash. No way! This passerby girl is so cruel. She already threw it away, but still won't let someone else eat it. The helplessness, like wanting to slap through the screen, but can't. The boy bowed his head in embarrassment. Sorry. I smiled. Food from the trash isn't edible. Come with me. I'll buy you a meal. Judging from his appearance, he looked like a freshman, probably just started high school. He hesitated, instinctively refusing. No need. My family runs a noodle shop. It won't cost you anything. Let's go. I pulled him onto my little electric bike and drove straight to my family's noodle shop. Okay, I take it back. This passerby girl is actually amazing. But wait, something's off with the plot. Did the scriptwriter change the storyline? Still, not bad. Hopefully the male lead escapes hardships soon. But what if he ends up liking this girl instead? Probably not. The female lead is his destiny. Still, this one could turn out to be the supporting female character. On the way, I asked him his name and class. As expected, he was a 10th grader. His name was Jungju. When we got off, Jungju lingered outside, too shy to enter. I had to grab his wrist and drag him inside. I'm home, Mom. At that moment, the shop was empty. My mom and dad were sitting there playing on their phones. When they looked up and saw us, they froze. I knew exactly what surprised them. I had only ever brought female friends home. This was the first time I brought a boy. But they quickly recovered, both flashing warm smiles. My mom said, "Handsome boy, come sit down. What kind of noodles would you like?" My dad added, "We've got stir-fried noodles, pork, chicken, beef, even organ meat." Jungchu sat awkwardly. "Thank you, Uncle, Auntie. I don't really eat meat. Just a vegetarian noodle bowl is fine." Baby, didn't you love beef noodles the most? He just doesn't want to trouble the shop owners. The male lead is truly kind, just too pitiful. I slapped the table to settle it. Mom, 1 beef noodle, please. My mom chuckled. All right. Sing Sing, come help me in the kitchen. Yes, Mom. I followed her in, while my dad stayed outside chatting with Youngju. Once the stove was lit, my mom's face darkened. She asked in a low voice, "What is your relationship with that boy?" I quickly explained. No relationship at all. He's in 10th grade. Half an hour ago, I didn't even know him. My mom snapped. If you don't even know him, why bring him back here? Do you think he can't even afford 1 bowl of noodles? I sighed. Mom, he picked up the cold bun I threw in the trash and was about to eat it. My mom's jaw dropped. She was speechless for a long while. Then she raised her hand and smacked me lightly. Wasting food. Serves you right. I held my head, feeling wronged. You put so much in, I couldn't finish it. I was afraid if I brought it home, you'd scold me, so I just threw it away. My mom gritted her teeth. From now on, only take what you can eat. No wasting. I grinned sheepishly. Yes. Afraid Duong Chu wouldn't have enough, she cooked half a kilo of noodles and piled all the leftover beef on top. When I placed the enormous bowl on the table, I was stunned. Mom, isn't this too much? You think everyone's like me? My stomach's the size of a thumb. Just a little and I'm full. But boys his age eat a lot. Duangchu looked at the giant bowl in shock, as if overwhelmed by kindness. Sis, this is too much. If you can't finish, just leave it. He quickly corrected himself. No, I can finish it. Good. But if you can't, don't force yourself until your stomach bursts. Yes. Suddenly, Duangchu's eyes turned red. He lowered his head, staring at the table. Thank you, sis. My mom smiled gently. No need to thank us. Eat quickly, before it gets cold. It won't taste as good then. This family is really kind. Looks like the male lead won't have to starve anymore. Not necessarily. Helping once doesn't mean they'll help forever. Still, it's already better than his biological mother, who remarried and completely abandoned her son's life and death. Duangchu ate spoonful by spoonful, but his tears dropped into the noodles, one after another. The sight made my parents and me feel a lump in our throats. We quickly looked away. My mom pulled me into the kitchen. That handsome boy, what's his family background? According to the scrolling comments, it wasn't clear, and I'd only just met him, so I couldn't know much either. I guessed, maybe his mom remarried and doesn't care anymore. His dad probably passed away. My mom's face flushed red with anger. Heavens! How can people like that exist? Forget it. It's their family matter. We can't interfere. Here's what we'll do. In the morning, you bring him food. At noon and evening, get cafeteria meals for him. At night, bring him here for late supper. Consider it helping a poor student. I nodded vigorously. Yes, Mom. And she was right. Duangchu really did eat a lot. He finished that massive bowl clean. My mom was thrilled. She loved seeing people polish off her cooking. She beamed, handsome boy, how's the noodles? Taste good? Duangchu nodded seriously. Auntie, your noodles are absolutely delicious. Her smile grew even brighter. Then come every day from now on. I won't take money from you. Duangchu looked uneasy, a little embarrassed. So my mom suggested, all right, then how about this? Come every night and help me out in the shop. In return, I'll make noodles for you. How's that? Thank you, Auntie. After finishing, my parents began cleaning the shop. Duangchu rushed to help, working quickly and efficiently. In no time, everything was done. Then, my dad offered to take him home. At first, Duangchu refused, but he couldn't resist and nodded. Yet not less than an hour later, my dad came back, bringing him along again, this time carrying a large net bag. My mom and I looked at each other, confused. We didn't know what was going on, but we still invited Duangchu inside. My dad took a sip of water, furious. That boy's mother is unbelievable. To force her son to quit school and work, she kicked him out without caring at all. He's been surviving near a public restroom for 2 or 3 months, living off garbage. My mom and I were stunned. She quickly came back to her senses, grabbed Duangchu's hand, eyes red. Diao-chu, if you don't mind, stay here with us. We have a spare room. My dad also comforted him. Don't overthink it. When you have a future, you'll have the chance to repay us. Duangchu lowered his head, voice choked. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Uncle. My dad waved it off. No need to thank us. It's nothing. My mom turned to me. From now on, you don't you dare bully your little brother, understand? I was speechless, as if I'd waste my time bullying such a pitiful boy. My mom quickly tidied up a room for him. When she saw Duangchu had nothing but 2 sets of uniforms, she felt so heartbroken she burst into tears. Duangchu panicked, not knowing what to do, trying to comfort her, but the more he comforted, the harder she cried while cursing his mother for not deserving the title of mother at all. My dad had to pull her back into their room to rest. I stood by the door explaining. My mom's just a little too sympathetic. Once you get used to it here, it'll feel normal. Wash up and go to bed early. Tomorrow morning, I leave around 6:40. Yes. I walked a few steps, then suddenly turned back with a grin. From now on, call me sister. Dong-chu obediently, shyly nodded. Mm, I teased. Say it once so I can hear. Dong-chu pressed his lips together, embarrassed, then softly called, Sis. I grinned from ear to ear. Perfect. Sleep well, little brother. Dong-chu also smiled. Good night, sis. May good people be rewarded. I hope your whole family stays safe. When the male lead succeeds in the future, he must repay them. And don't you dare let this family suffer some tragic accident just to speed up his growth arc. Otherwise, I'm dropping the story right there. Hopefully, it won't turn melodramatic like that. The next morning, when I woke up, Dongchu was already in the kitchen helping my mom prepare breakfast. I, of course, felt no shame at all, just sat down to enjoy the food. Dongchu ate 3 times my portion, making my eyes go wide in shock. My mom shot me a meaningful glance. See? That's what eating properly looks like. I refused to back down. He's a teenage boy. Of course he eats a lot. I went through puberty, didn't I? Then why didn't you eat like that? Because I'm a girl. I don't eat as much as boys. That's such a weak excuse. So my mom and I kept bickering back and forth. My dad laughed and told Dongchu, they're like this every day. Don't mind them. Dongchu gave a shy smile. Her family atmosphere is so warm. I can't help but envy it. Parents close with their daughter like best friends, it really makes people long for it. Hopefully, this family warmth can slowly heal the scars in the male lead's heart. A miserable childhood takes a lifetime to mend, but this is still better than having nothing at all. As the saying goes, may good people meet good things. After breakfast, I drove Dongchu to school on my scooter. In mid-noon, following my mom's instructions, I loaded 300 yuan onto Dongchu's meal card before taking him to lunch. No doubt about it, he had never eaten in the cafeteria before. Mom had told me to make sure he ate his full, so I gave him 3 times my portion. The mountain of food on his tray looked like a little hill. Big Sis was wide-eyed again, adorable.
Boys eat a lot when they're growing. That's normal. And the male lead has been malnourished all this time. He's just making up for it now. Honestly, I'm starting to want to ship the male lead with the older sister. I'm a fan of the female lead, though. The older sister is amazing, but I still hope the male lead ends up with the female lead. Me too. I swear, I have absolutely no romantic thoughts toward the male lead. But as his sister, clinging to the male lead a little is probably fine, right? Now I guess I count as part of the main cast. The future looks bright. Since 10th graders have one less evening self-study period than 12th graders, after class, Yuengshu stayed behind in the classroom, studying while waiting for me. When school was over, I went to the staircase landing on the 2nd floor where we'd agreed to meet. By the time I arrived, he was already waiting there. The moment he saw me, he walked over obediently. Sis. Let's go home. Okay. She really does treat the male lead like a younger brother. How touching. I almost want to change ships now. But no, I'll stay loyal to the female lead. As usual, we first stopped by the restaurant, had dinner, closed up, then went upstairs to our home. My family lives right above the restaurant. Very convenient. As soon as we got home, my mom pulled out a pile of things she had just bought for Dingju. Clothes and shoes. She asked him to try them on. They were all a little loose since she guessed he'd be growing quickly. On top of that, she had even bought him a phone suitable for a student. Dingju grew flustered again, unsure what to do. My mom held his hand and gently said, Your uncle and I talked about it.
We want to take you in as our foster son. Do you agree? Dangju's voice choked as he nodded. I agree. Then what should you call us? I teased. Of course you should call them foster father and foster mother. Dangju nodded seriously and called out sincerely. Mom, Dad, Sis. I happily responded, Hey! My dad was delighted too. Good. From now on, we're family. I finally have both a son and a daughter. My mom suggested, let's take a day off this Saturday and go out together. I agreed right away. Yes, let's go to the amusement park. Gradually, Dangju grew used to life in my house. Once he got closer to us, he even took over the chore of squeezing through the cafeteria crowds to get my meals for me. I just sat back, relaxed, and enjoyed myself. With a proper diet, his body grew taller, like wheat after a spring rain. No doubt he'll definitely become a tall, handsome young man in the future. Tall and good-looking. Meanwhile, short little me couldn't help but feel jealous. He also became more open and confident than before. He walked with his back straight, always wearing a happy smile. Most of the comments on the screen were supportive, though some viewers worried I might interfere with his destined romance with the female lead. But I had no such intention. Besides, I already secretly liked someone else. I planned to confess after the college entrance exam. To ease their worries, I deliberately shared this with Dangju and asked him to keep it a secret. From then on, almost never did the comments bring up the idea of me interfering again. My parents treated Dangju extremely well. Honestly, sometimes I even felt a little jealous because they were so good to him. But every time before I could complain, Dangju would come running over and sweetly call me sis. That word melted me instantly. Fine, let them treat him well. I also really liked this obedient, sensible younger brother, especially since he was the male lead after all. Before I knew it, winter break had arrived. 4 months had passed, and the boy who used to be a little shorter than me was now half a head taller. But no matter how tall he got, he still had to call me sis. Hee hee. Since college entrance exams were coming up, my mom no longer let me help at the restaurant. Every day, Dongchu went with my parents instead. Even though my mom told him not to, he insisted on going, promising it wouldn't affect his studies. My parents couldn't stop him, so they gave in. On the 26th day of the lunar 12th month, it was Dongchu's birthday. My parents closed the shop at 3 p.m., bought meat and fish, and prepared a big dinner. Before the meal, my mom asked me and Dongchu to go to the bakery across the street to pick up the cake. But as we walked out of the bakery, we suddenly ran into a middle-aged woman with 2 children. She was obese, with broad shoulders and a bulging stomach. The 2 kids, 1 boy and 1 girl, were both tall and chubby. The boy was nearly as tall as me. The moment Dongchu saw her, his face went pale. He gripped my wrist tightly and tried to hurry me away, but the woman chased after us and yanked the cake box out of his hands. Well, well, look at you, brat. At home you scream about going to school, and here you are sneaking out without a word. I raised you all these years, and now you've got money but don't give me a cent? Instead, you're spending it on this little slut? As she said this, she glared at me. Let me tell you, my son is still a minor. Pay back all the money he spent on you, or I'll report you for seducing an underage boy. How vicious. Hard to believe this was actually the male lead's birth mother. Selfish, unreasonable, a textbook example of a middle-aged woman ugly both inside and out. The 2 kids were frightened by her yelling. Dongchu clenched his fists, holding back tears as his eyes reddened. Mom, I'm still in school. That money isn't mine. You think you can fool me that easily? Tell her to pay back the money or I'll sue her. Seeing her clutch the cake box tightly, I tugged on Dongchu's sleeve and whispered, Just give her the cake. getting tangled with someone like this will only cause more trouble. We can buy another one later. Dong-ju handed the cake to his mother. But instead of letting go, she passed it to the little girl beside her and barked, "No money, no cake. Tae, hold that girl for me. Don't let her get away." "Yes." The boy lunged toward me, trying to grab my arm. In a panic, Dong-ju shoved his mother aside, grabbed his younger brother by the neck, and flung him away. Then he pulled me and bolted. We sprinted across the street, deliberately zigzagging to shake them off, before finally making it back to our apartment complex. When we got home, I told my parents everything. They were stunned. My mom exclaimed, "Heavens! What kind of mother does that?" My dad's eyes widened. "Unbelievable! I can't even." In a small, trembling voice, Dong-chu said, "Foster mom, foster dad, I want to move out." His head hung low, his whole body shrouded in despair. I was so angry I could barely breathe. His mother was too good at this. Just one encounter and she dragged him right back into his old darkness. The boy we had worked so hard to nurture into a bright, optimistic person had crumbled into his former self. My dad looked at him steadily and said, "Don't worry. Stay here with us. We're not afraid of her causing trouble. We're already prepared for that."
My mom chimed in, "Your dad is right. You're still a child. Don't overthink things. Leave adult matters for us to handle." She said that, but after all, Dong-chu was only 16. His mother was still his legal guardian, and it wasn't easy to resolve. The comment section was full of worries. Some even suspected that Dong-chu wasn't her biological child. They pointed out how she and those two fat kids looked so alike, while Dong-chu was tall and skinny, obviously not from the same bloodline. And come to think of it, they were probably right. Too bad there was no way she'd ever agreed to a DNA test. Dong-chu never mentioned moving out again, but from that day on, he was constantly gloomy. Most of the time, he forced out a stiff, fake smile. Watching him like that made us all anxious inside. On the 8th day of Lunar New Year, his mother suddenly came to the restaurant, dragging along a reporter. She screamed that my parents had seduced a minor, forced him into child labor, and while crying and yelling, demanded to take him back, plus 200,000 yuan in compensation. In no time, a crowd gathered outside to watch, but my parents stayed calm, not the least bit flustered. Dong-chu just stood there, expressionless. After a moment, he suddenly turned and walked into the kitchen. Sensing something was wrong, I quickly followed. He had grabbed a kitchen knife and was about to rush out. The moment he saw me, he froze. The fury in his eyes instantly collapsed into panic. "Sis?" I stepped forward, gently took the knife from his hand, and put it back on the rack. "Don't do anything rash. Trust your foster parents." His eyes filled with tears. "I was just too angry. She abused me, fine, but why drag it all the way here to ruin your shop too?" I didn't know how to comfort him, so I just said, "It's okay. Trust your foster parents. They can handle this." Gradually, he calmed down. Meanwhile, the comment section exploded again with suspicions that he wasn't her real son. An idea struck me. Isn't this the perfect chance to collect a sample today? So I went back out and deliberately tossed out a few mocking remarks, provoking her mother. Sure enough, she lunged at me, trying to slap me. Dong-chu jumped in front of me. I dodged while yanking out a fistful of her hair. Screaming in pain, she went berserk, thrashing like a mad woman, trying to hit me again, but every time, Dong-chu blocked her. At that moment, the police arrived.
The instant she saw them, she rushed over and started whining and tattling, crying out her grievances. One officer frowned impatiently and said, "Ma'am, that's enough. You refused to let your son go to school, kicked him out, left him living in a public restroom for months, scavenging trash to survive. These kind folks took him in, fed him, gave him a place to stay and study, and now you come here stirring trouble, slandering them?" In a second, she was stunned. Then she snapped that, "You're lying. When did I ever stop him from going to school? When did I ever kick him out? Even if you're the police, you can't slander me." The officer's tone hardened. "Lies or not, you know the truth yourself. Back then, we called both you and your husband, told you to take your child back and care for him properly. You said you had no money and that he was old enough to fend for himself. That call, we recorded every word. If you want, I can play it for you right now." On the second day after my dad decided to take Chu in, he had already gone to the local committee where his parents lived. He asked the officials to contact his mother and stepfather, specifically urging them to pick him up. Of course, they flatly refused. After that, my dad even pulled the local committee officials over to the police station, asking the officers to persuade Chu's mother and stepfather. As expected, they rejected it harshly. Seizing the moment, my dad applied for guardianship of Chu and also requested that if his mother ever came back to make trouble, the police should step in to handle it. The police had no interest in dealing with such unreasonable people anyway, so they agreed immediately. The crowd around us began to murmur angrily, and some even cursed her right on the spot. Chu's mother stood there, mouth agape, finally unable to argue back. In the end, she spun around and fled like she was escaping. The police openly praised my parents for their kindness and reminded them to report right away if she caused trouble again. One officer even gave Chu a few words of encouragement. "Study hard and don't let your foster parents down." When the police left, most of the onlookers dispersed, though some came into the shop for dinner. Everyone praised my parents endlessly for helping Chu. Soon, posts about the incident spread online. Several videos even climbed the hot search. I came across them myself while scrolling. What reassured me was that in most of the clips, my face, Chu's face, and my parents' faces were blurred. As for her mother, the only thing covering her face were 3 tiny black squares, leaving her name glaring across her forehead. Since the truth was so obvious, public opinion online tilted completely to one side. In less than a day, netizens had dug up all the details about Chu's stepfather and that woman. Witnesses even came forward saying that Chu had been abused by his mother and stepfather for a long time. The two of them were cursed into oblivion, with some people even threatening to show up at their front door with bags of excrement. As for me, I only had one thought: serves them right. That afternoon, I secretly took samples of Chu and his mother's hair to the hospital for a DNA test. The report will take a week. Sure enough, when it came back, the comments online had guessed right all along. Chu wasn't her biological child. That night, I told my parents and Chu the results. He froze, then suddenly covered his face with his hands and broke into tears. The male lead must have been crying from sheer relief. If she wasn't his real mother, then at least he no longer had to suffer that pain. God, this big sister is basically a living bodhisattva. Now I almost want to ship the sister with the male lead, but no, let's not. The male and female leads are the destined couple. Besides, the sister already has someone else she likes. A sibling bond like this is just as precious. My mom, being sentimental, wiped her tears as well. I knew it. No way that woman was really his mother. She's more like an enemy than anything else. My dad gently patted Dungchi's back. Tomorrow, we'll go to the police station, report this, and officially cut the blood ties. From now on, she won't have any legal hold over you. My mom, still emotional, added, "We also need to find your real parents. Just because she wasn't your birth mother doesn't mean you were kidnapped. There are plenty of people out there who have kids and then don't want to raise them." That's true, I thought. But what if we do find his biological parents and they don't want him either? Wouldn't that just break his heart all over again? The comments online seemed to agree. I was still wondering how to gently bring up the subject, but During Chu lifted his tear-streaked face and said, "Foster mom, I don't want to look for them." My mother was stunned. "Why not?" During Chu choked up. "My birth mother might not love me." For a moment, my mom froze, then immediately pulled him into her arms, her eyes filled with pain. "Tiao Chu, your foster mom loves you. If you don't mind, from now on, I'll be your real mother." My dad's eyes were red too. "Your foster dad will be your real father as well. Whatever your sister has, you'll have the same." I quickly chimed in, "And I'll be your real sister too." During Chu looked at my mother, then at my father, and finally at me. Suddenly, he broke into a smile through his tears. That smile was contagious. Our whole family burst out laughing with him. All four of us laughed together like children. It was both funny and moving, making me want to cry but unable to, wanting to laugh but not daring too loudly. It was so wonderful, like a scene straight out of a sweet novel. The one being spoiled was the male lead, tearful, adorable, and cherished. The next morning, my dad anxiously took During Chu to the police station. To make the matter seem more serious, he declared that he suspected During Chu might have been trafficked as a child. Child trafficking is a criminal offense. The police immediately summoned During Chu's foster mother for questioning and ordered an official paternity test. The results were expedited, and within just 3 hours they were ready. Faced with solid evidence, During Chu's foster mother broke down and confessed everything. It turned out she and her husband had been married for many years without children. One time, when her husband returned from working away, he brought back a newborn baby, During Chu. He said the baby's biological mother was a college student who didn't want to raise the child and had sold him. That husband had long since passed away, so the truth could no longer be verified, but buying and selling children is a crime. As a result, the legal mother-son relationship between her and During Chu was officially annulled. The police transferred During Chu's household registration to a collective account. My parents wanted to formally adopt him, but he said he was almost of age and didn't think it was necessary. Since my parents always respected his wishes, they didn't push him. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that the male lead's refusal to be adopted carried some hidden meaning. Could it be some cliché setup? If officially adopted, he would gain inheritance rights. Maybe he just didn't want to take anything away from his sister. But knowing my parents' character, whether they were papers or not, they'd never let him suffer a loss. Of course, as the male lead, he'd repay them 100-fold in the future. That's a huge win. After that incident, our noodle shop suddenly became an online sensation. Every day, crowds of customers came to eat and check in. Lines stretched long outside the door. My dad was both thrilled and exhausted. If it stays this busy every day, this old body of mine won't last. I comforted him. It's just the internet effect. It'll calm down with time. For now, let's hire a few helpers. That sounded reasonable, so my dad hired 2 people. When winter break ended, The crowd gradually thinned, but many locals had already become regulars. Even after things settled down, business was still double what it used to be. Every day my dad praised During Chu as the little lucky star of our family. And with no foster mother hanging over him like a ticking time bomb, During Chu's mood improved quickly. Before I knew it, the college entrance exam had arrived. During the 2 exam days, my mother wore a cheapao and stood outside the school gate waiting for me. I did quite well. My chances of getting into a top university were high. After the final test, the class monitor organized a celebratory dinner. I was excited because I planned to confess to the boy I had secretly liked for a long time. Before heading out, I went home to change into a pretty little dress. Just as I was about to leave, my mother handed me an envelope. "What's this, Mom?" She shook her head. "Tio Chu asked me to give this to you, but only after your exams were over." Curious, I opened it. Inside was a thick stack of photos, all of them showing the boy I liked going to hotels with different girls. My fragile little heart shattered silently. The male lead was so considerate, waiting until my exams were over before letting me get my heart broken. Ha ha. I couldn't help but suspect that he wasn't so simple. "You're overthinking," someone would say. "He just didn't want you to be deceived by a scumbag." I messaged the class monitor to say I wouldn't be joining the dinner anymore. Later, the boy texted me asking why I hadn't shown up. I sent him one of the photos. He went silent and never replied. I immediately deleted his number, blocked all contact, and cleaned everything up. At 9 o'clock that night, During Chu returned home. He seemed afraid I'd be upset, cautiously calling "sis," then quickly added, "sorry." I wasn't someone who couldn't tell right from wrong. I was just feeling a little down. "Why are you apologizing? I should be thanking you. He was trash to begin with. Knowing when to stop is the smartest choice." I didn't want him to feel guilty, so I acted like it was nothing. "Want to go to the amusement park this weekend? I'll take you." During Chu nodded shyly. That weekend, we went to the amusement park near home, but honestly, it felt more like he was the one taking me out. After all, he knew how to take care of others far better than I did. I simply enjoyed the feeling of being looked after. More than 20 days later, the exam results were released. Just as I expected, I got into my first choice university, a prestigious school in the north. After celebrating by playing around all summer, I obediently returned to the shop to help my parents. During Chu, meanwhile, borrowed my old 11th grade textbooks to study ahead. Over the summer, he not only finished reading all of the 11th and 12th grade math, physics, and chemistry, but also completed a massive number of practice problems. What shocked me the most was his accuracy rate. It reached 80%. A true academic genius among geniuses. I admired him deeply. When the semester began, my parents brought During Chu along to see me off at university. From then on, I no longer saw the scrolling comments. Probably because of the distance. Not long after school started, a boy confessed to me, but every time I thought of the one who would hurt me, the boy who had once played ambiguous games with my feelings, I lost all interest in dating, so I politely returned every confession. Literature and English were During Chu's weak points. Almost every night he video called me to ask about homework. Patiently, I explained everything to him step by step through the screen. Once again, his ability to learn amazed me. In the first half of the semester, he was still asking me questions about the first half of 11th grade. But by the next semester, he had already moved on to the second half. I asked him, "Are you planning to skip a grade?" He nodded. Yes. The intelligence gap between people really is huge. I had always been considered smart, yet compared to him, I felt like nothing. But then again, he's the male lead, so I felt much better about it. One semester flew by quickly. As soon as vacation started, I booked a ticket home. The one who came to pick me up was Chu. Videos hadn't shown it clearly, but in person I realized he had grown even taller. Standing beside him, the top of my head only reached his chin. "You got taller again?" Chu lowered his head and gave me a gentle smile. Lately it's slowed down. I probably won't grow much more. I raised my hand to measure. "You're at least 1.83 by now." "That's tall enough. Any taller and—" He looked down at me playfully. "Talking to you would be exhausting." The corners of his mouth deepened into a grin. "Fine then, don't grow anymore." I teased. "So just because you say you'll stop, you really stop? What, you'll starve yourself to stay short?" Chu shook his head, suppressing a laugh. "I wouldn't dare." "Good. If you dare skip meals, I'll beat you up. From now on, I'll just sit down whenever I talk to you." "Who wants to chat with you nose to nose like that anyway?" The height chart between us was so cute. I really wanted to ship them. And I wasn't alone. Many others wanted to too. Compared to the grown-up male lead, the little big sister really was adorable. Still, I couldn't help but feel sorry for the female lead. Well, whatever. The story seemed to be taking a turn. Let's just wait and see how it ends. Seeing the comments, I immediately pulled back, bowed my head, and played with my phone. To avoid being shipped with him, I kept some distance. But whenever he asked me questions about homework, I still patiently explained. During winter break, Chu finished the entire first semester curriculum of 12th grade. He told my parents he had applied to skip a grade, though the final decision would depend on an entry exam. My parents were nothing but proud, and so was I. But then new worries popped up in the comments. If the male lead skips a grade, then when the female lead transfers in later, won't they be in different classes? No need to worry. If the script wants it, even different classes or different worlds can't stop a destined couple. Senior-junior romances exist too, right? Still, I wanted to ship the sister with the male lead so bad. Sob. Soon after I returned to school, my dad called me with big news. Chu had passed the entry test and was officially placed in the Rocket class, the special elite program for college entrance exam preparation. His homeroom teacher even told my dad that with his current progress, getting into a top university would be no problem. My parents were overjoyed. In their eyes, Chu was a treasure fallen straight from the heavens. Perhaps because of the mounting pressure of studies, Chu contacted me less frequently than before. Instead, I often got updates about him through my parents. At the start of 12th grade, his results weren't particularly outstanding, ranking only in the good group of the grade. But his hard work was relentless, and with each exam, his ranking climbed higher. By the final mock exam, he had ranked second in the entire year. And before long, the real college entrance exam arrived. Just like always, my parents stood outside the exam hall for the entire 2 days. When the results were released, I was still away at school. My dad called me on video chat, logging into the system right then and there to check the scores. Because the servers were overloaded, it took them an entire hour to finally get in. The results were released, but the scores were hidden. Only candidates ranked in the top 50 of the entire province had their scores concealed. My parents hugged each other and screamed with joy. On the other end of the call, I screamed too, unable to contain my excitement. The calmest person was actually Chu, who only smiled mysteriously. Before long, the homeroom teacher called to announce that Chu had ranked second in the entire province, first in the school. That afternoon, he received recruitment calls from both Tsinghua University and Peking University. My parents immediately launched into a fierce argument over whether he should choose Tsinghua or Peking, refusing to give in to each other. I knew During True was someone with his own opinions, so I reminded him not to be swayed and to decide for himself. He asked me, "Sister, which school should I choose? You'll support me no matter what, right?" I didn't even need to think. Of course. The next day, my parents fell silent. They must have already been persuaded by Deng Chu. A few days later, I took the train back home. Once again, it was Deng Chu who came to pick me up. His height hadn't changed much since last time, but his physique had grown stronger, no longer the skinny boy from before. He now carried the aura of a young man on the verge of adulthood. Not just his appearance, but his demeanor too, much more mature and composed. Only his smile remained the same, bright and warm as sunlight. "Sis," he called softly. After a few casual questions, we boarded the subway together. I unconsciously glanced at my phone to check the comments. Honestly, it was the first time I'd ever seen an adaptation that dared to split up the official male and female leads. But it didn't matter. The male lead and sister were too perfect to ship, while the female lead paired with the second male lead was just as good. As long as fans could ship someone, it was fine. Rumors spread that the screenwriter and director were blaming each other. The director claimed the script was always like that, while the screenwriter insisted her original draft was completely different. Ha! Don't tell me the script grew a soul of its own. Or maybe the paper characters themselves awakened. I was so stunned that I couldn't close my mouth, staring at Deng True in disbelief. He tilted his head toward me, his smile still dazzling. "Sis, we need to have our own opinions, and more importantly, we must take control of our own destiny. You can see the comments too?" Deng Chu looked straight into my eyes, not hiding the intensity burning in his gaze. "After meeting you, I began to see them. That's why you are my destiny." I had only started seeing the comments after meeting him too. If what he said was true, did it mean Deng Chu didn't choose Tsinghua or Peking, but instead applied to the most prestigious finance program at my university? Its admission scores were no lower than Tsinghua or Peking. But what shocked me even more was that he had already convinced my parents to allow us to date. Turns out, while my parents were still caught up in their endless argument, Deng Chu had not only made it clear he would attend my university, but also confessed his feelings for me directly to them. At first, my parents couldn't accept it, but after being carefully brainwashed by Deng Chu, they quickly gave in. His three reasons: first, the relationship was already familiar and safe. They wouldn't have to worry about me being deceived. Second, there would never be conflicts between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law, so I wouldn't have to suffer grievances. Third, he was willing to put his entire future wealth under my parents' names. If he ever wronged me, he would be left with nothing. With those three reasons, not only did my parents give in, but even I was moved. No wonder they had suddenly gone silent that day. I admit, I had some feelings for Deng Chu too, but I kept reminding myself he was the male lead who already had an official female lead. That was why, whenever I saw comments shipping us, I deliberately kept my distance. But now, didn't the female lead already have a new partner? Then I had no reason to hold back anymore. Hee hee. Thank you for listening. I truly appreciate all your support and feedback. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, or hit subscribe.